to now introduce Kelsey Brendel, our interim chair from SPEDPAC. Kelsey?
Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone for being here. In particular, our always our members, but this evening we especially thank our interpreters who have no small task. So thank you for being here. Tonight is a little bit different, as many of you know, in an exciting way. In addition to our featured presentation on ADHD and family supports. We are going to immediately follow that presentation with our regularly scheduled elections. And we are delighted that this year the Federation for Children with Special Needs has partnered with us to facilitate, coordinate, and run those elections. And you'll hear more about that after the presentation, but we're really excited to be able to accomplish both of those really important things and be very respectful of your time as members. So we're going to move this ahead promptly, start with our featured speaker, Elise Wolf, who is a senior program manager at Aspire, which is a program at MGH. I'm sure she'll tell you more about that. She comes to us with great clinical expertise in neurodiversity, executive functioning, caregiver supports, and inclusion practices. And as I said, I'm going to turn it immediately over to her. One of the other things that's different about this evening, again, in the interest of honoring your time and being sure that we really have the time that we allotted and committed to for our elections to ensure that they are equitable, fair, and accessible, is we are going to eliminate the question and answer period for our speaker because she has so graciously agreed to highlight another session on Zoom in the coming days and weeks, which we'll make available to you. So in the interim, while you're listening to her presentation, as you think of questions, please either write them in the chat. You can send them to our SPEDPAC email or, of course, call us, and I will be sure that those details so that you can do that are in the chat. But if I'm speaking fast, it's only because I want to get right to the program and be sure we respect your time, especially with regard to elections. So with that said, we will transition to our speaker. Delighted she's here, Elise Wolf, and then we'll take a pause and turn things over to the Federation for Children with Special Needs, and we'll get going with our election process. So happy to have you all here. And as I always say, you know, we're here for each other, and please share what you know and what you've learned with others. And hopefully what you learned tonight will add to that arsenal of what you know and can be helpful to with other parents and families. So thank you again. Welcome to everyone. And let me turn it over to Elise.
Thank you for that warm welcome. Hello, my name is Elise. I will be speaking on attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. These slides will be made available to you following tonight, and I look forward to a return visit where I can be more involved in a question and answer. Tonight, we're going to walk through 3 topics. I'm going to give a brief overview of ADHD, meaning the diagnostic criteria, what it takes for an individual to be diagnosed. I'm going to highlight executive functioning because it's one of the areas that brings together some of the challenges and strengths of executive functioning. And then I'm going to provide 3 tips. There are many tips, but I have chosen 3 tonight to highlight ways parents and caregivers can provide support to their children in addition to everything you're already doing. I have also included a slide on some other resources if you'd like to look further. So what you see on the screen are the diagnostic criteria. At the top are dark blue boxes. Those dark blue boxes are the attention deficit, meaning that first part of ADHD. The teal, blue, green boxes represent the hyperactivity type of ADHD. These days, we only use one label, ADHD, but we can specify the clinician, the person who provides the diagnosis, can tell you which type, attention deficit, hyperactivity, or combined type best represents your child. So what you see here is the medical model. We're talking about deficits or challenges. I absolutely subscribe to the neurodiversity framework, which means all profiles have both strengths and challenges. But tonight, I'm going to focus on just sharing the diagnostic criteria. So what you see here is our behavioral descriptors, meaning when you are working with a clinician or a diagnostician, they will ask you a lot of questions, a developmental history of you, your child, or your loved one. And they are looking for lots of data that represent these observable characteristics in an individual. As you see in the box in the center, a person must have 5 or more of the following, and they have to be pretty pervasive over time. So if a child or a teen were having a hard time focusing, but it was for a short period of time, a week, a month, that may not meet the criteria. These behaviors have to be observed over a long period of time and across different settings, home, school, and otherwise. So the piece of ADHD that I want to highlight is executive functioning. Executive functioning happens in the top of the brain. So if you see my hands here, if you think about these as a brain, this is the bottom, this is the middle layer, and this is the top layer. ADHD, not ADHD, but executive functioning happens in this top layer up here. That's relevant because it's the outermost layer of the brain. And this is where what we call higher order thinking happens, meaning we have to intentionally call upon many of these skills. What happens in the lower parts of the brain, we don't have to think about. That's things like heartbeat or feeling emotions, memory. Executive functioning is a set of skills
Nice
that
job,
we
buddy.
have to use with intention.
Let me see.
So what I mean by that is some people describe executive functioning as being the brake pedal to the brain and the body's gas pedal. When you make decisions, you're often thinking about when to act and when not to act. A lot of executive functioning is helping your nervous system determine when to not act. That also could be called impulse control or response inhibition. For many of us, when we think about these these features of ADHD, it really connects to not being as automatic, capable, or prepared to inhibit when you want to do something. So that's a big feature of executive functioning. And if you're thinking about your child, you may be saying, yep, that's them. If they have a thought, it's coming right out. Or if they want to do something, they're doing it. They don't have the same kind of gas brake pedal relationship that we might see other students or children or adolescents have. What you see here in the colored boxes at the bottom, executive functioning is a very broad category. We have activation, which is your brain's ability to start something. For your kid, this might mean they stare at the homework and they just keep staring. And that shift into actively starting something doesn't happen without a lot of support or time. Then, of course, we have focus. Effort, meaning can you keep putting yourself out there to finish something that you really don't like or is really hard to do? That emotional management and sometimes specifically anger management or emotional regulation is not something that's often discussed about ADHD, but it's a big part because we feel an emotion, but then the decision of how much of that emotion we show other people, or if that emotion and the degree that we're feeling it is really what we want to move forward with, that can be a big part of the ADHD profile. Certainly memory. If you've stored something, do you know where you stored that memory to recall it for a test? A lot of ADHD kids, it can be incredibly frustrating for parents because the kids know this stuff. They know it. And if you ask them to talk about science or math or the book they're reading, but then we have to get that out of their brain and into a project or a test. That's when it can be so frustrating. And lastly, we have action, which means when you start something, you follow through, even if you run into a problem. This could look like your kid starts a math test, but their pencil breaks. Where some kids might be able to go get a new pencil or sharpen their pencil, come back to the test. For your kid, that might be too big of a problem to step over. So I'm going to now walk through 3 tips that can be helpful for parents as you're trying to navigate your child's profile specifically for ADHD. The first tip is to make it visual. And I mean this in 2 ways. What you see on the screen are visuals that I would suggest you write or type up in print or draw and have around the house in the places where your child has to work through multiple steps to do a routine. If you're anything like a lot of the kids I work with, they might get halfway through the teeth brushing routine and then there's something cool on the other side of the bathroom and they're gone. So a visual guide can help your child see the multiple steps, but in one place. This can be something that can help them work through multiple steps of a routine with maybe the possibility of a higher degree of independence. On this slide, you see a couple different versions because kids at different developmental age ranges need their visuals to look different. Some teenagers still need pictures, and that's great. Some 3rd graders are going to look at pictures and say, I don't want pictures. So personalize it for your child. It also might help to have your child have to interact with it, like check it off, or use Velcro stickers to move the pictures. The second tip is when you're talking about time with your child or asking them to measure time, make it visual. Most kids, but especially kids with ADHD, do not have a good internal sense of time. It just washes over them. It's kind of like how some of us might start a Netflix show and not realize that 3 hours have passed. Now, for kids, that's much more problematic, right? In the school day and at home. So think about where you can teach your kids to use timers or where you can help them learn timers. I've put a link here to a list of digital apps that are free that you can download on a variety of devices for you to take a look at. And the last tip I'm going to share with you, transitions. Oh, we could do a whole workshop just on transitions and how brutal they are. So first, I just want to validate for parents, they're tough, they're rough, and it's not you. When we think about transitions, we're often pretty good about telling our kid where we're going next. That's commonly talked about in special education. We call it preview. Where we don't always offer this degree of support our kids need is how to pause or stop what they're currently doing that they then have to leave behind to go on to the next thing. So what I would encourage you to think about is, can you help your kids break down transitions maybe into these 3 steps I have here? Tell them they have to wrap up reading and give them a minute to do it before you tell them it's time to come to the dinner table. That breakdown might be what their brain needs to do one step at a time. And lastly, what I've provided are some, I don't want to call it a checklist because no kid should have all of these things. But when you're thinking about what outside of school might be the next step for my kid, I've broken down some of the core features of the challenges of ADHD, specifically in children in K through 12, and made some suggestions for things to look further into. Many of these are community available and not necessarily requiring a provider or insurance, but just a list to get the brainstorming going about some things. With summer coming, you might want to try some yoga as a family or having a morning or an afternoon walking routine. And then lastly, this is just a couple of places that I find are really good scientific resources that are specifically geared for parents to help you understand your child's unique version of ADHD, because every kid's ADHD is different. And also maybe even to help your child understand their own. If they're at that age where having more language or ability to process this diagnosis for them would be relevant. So these are free and they're available. The first two are parent newsletters that I highly suggest subscribing to. I think they're very well done. And with that, I get to the end of what I've prepared to present tonight. Kelsey, I imagine this would be a good time to check back in with you. Thank you for hosting me.
Sorry, folks, didn't realize I was muted. Thank you so much, Elise. That was exceptionally well done, and especially given the time that you had. I would just echo again that Elise has very generously offered to take your questions at a later time, which you'll be sure to hear from us when that is. So just be sure that you compile them again in the chat by phone. You can send us an email, and I did put that below, and we'll be sure to visit her again very soon. So thank you so much, Elise. And with that, as I mentioned, given our extraordinarily tight agenda this evening, I'm going to turn things over to Anne Tang from the Federation for Children with Special Needs. And as I mentioned, we've partnered with them so that they can coordinate, facilitate, and run these elections commensurate with, obviously, the values of SPEDPAC to include equity, transparency, fairness, and especially tonight, really put an emphasis on honoring your time as members, which is again why we're going to move very, very quickly so that we can end at 8:30 as promised. We just ask for your grace and your flexibility as much as possible when we get closer to the end. We'll all do the best we can to end promptly, but let's all try to, again, give each other some grace. If we need a couple of extra minutes, we'll be sure to alert you all to that toward the end, but we will make every effort to be sure that these are done with the scheduled time in mind and with all the commitments made. So excited to turn things over to Anne. She'll tell you all about what you can expect next. Thanks, Anne.
Thank you, Kelsey, and the current executive board of the Boston SPEDPAC for inviting us to facilitate tonight's election proceedings. My name is Anne Tang from the Federation for Children with Special Needs. Behind the scenes, managing the vote counts are my colleagues from the Federation, Cambria Russell, Maddie Evans, and also Megan Chapman. Let's begin by reviewing who can be nominated and who can vote in tonight's elections. These details and the process we will be following tonight are available in 10 languages. Please see the Zoom chat for those links. According to the Boston SPEDPAC bylaws, you are eligible to vote in tonight's elections if, firstly, you are present in this meeting during the vote, secondly, your child is a resident of Boston, and thirdly, you meet one of the following criteria. You are either a parent, foster parent, or person acting as a parent and legal guardian of children with disabilities who have an individualized education plan, IEP, or a 504 plan, or Parents and persons legally acting as parents who have requested that the district evaluate their child for special education services, or lastly, students with disabilities who have reached their 18th birthday. For tonight's elections, please ensure that your Zoom name is your full name. You can do so by clicking the Participants button at the top of the Zoom window, hovering your mouse over your name in the participants list, clicking Rename, and then entering your new name in the new screen name field. Now would be a good time to update your on-screen name if you need to. If you cannot change the name on your screen, please start each vote you submit in the chat with your name. For example, I am Ann Tang. I vote for Jose Jones. Also, all voting members are expected to have their cameras on during the election. Voting is not mandatory. You can choose to vote for one position, multiple positions, all positions, or abstain from voting entirely. However, all eligible voting members are encouraged to participate. Now, we want you to know what to expect tonight because we will be moving at a steady clip in an effort to complete the elections by 8:30. We want to respect your time. So here are the steps of tonight's election process. First, I will start now by announcing all the open positions on the executive board. This year, all 14 seats are open: chair, vice chair, secretary, treasurer, 8 members at large, and 2 alternate members at large. A list of these positions and descriptions of the positions are available in 10 languages. The links will be added to the Zoom chat shortly. Before you vote for each position, firstly, I will be presenting some of the responsibilities, time commitments, and expectations for each position as found in the description. Then, I will ask for nominations from eligible members. You can nominate yourself or another eligible member by typing your name or theirs into the chat when the nominations are requested. For each position, nominations will be accepted for 2 minutes. I will then read out the names of the nominees in alphabetical order by last name, asking each nominee if they accept or decline their nomination. I will then also have the final list of nominees, share the list in the Zoom chat, and then have each nominee be given 2 minutes to speak about why they want to serve on the Boston SpedPAC Executive Board for that position. After all nominees have spoken, all eligible members will then have 2 minutes to write their vote into the Zoom chat. 2 of my colleagues from the Federation will be counting the votes separately and then review to be sure that the tallies are correct. We will then announce the votes and winner or winners, depending on the position. The results will be shared in the Zoom chat, and the names of the new executive board members will be announced. Don't worry, we'll announce each step as we move through the process. We just wanted to give you a glimpse of everything before we begin. There are just a few more details that are explained in the election guidelines and procedures that we want to highlight. Again, a link to these are available in 10 languages, and the links can be found in the chat. Firstly, if someone is nominated for a position but is not elected for that position, they may nominate themselves or be nominated for another position. Secondly, tonight's election process has been well thought out to be as accessible and equitable as we can be in this moment. It may not be perfect, but we won't be altering tonight's process. However, if you have ideas and suggestions, please know that the Boston SpedPAC has a subcommittee scheduled to review the bylaws, which includes the election process. So if you are interested in participating, please contact the Boston SpedPAC by email or phone. If you have any questions during this process, please use the Q&A box so the chat can remain dedicated to the active election. Thank you for your participation, and let us proceed with tonight's election. Okay. Before I begin describing the specific duties of the first open position, I will describe the shared responsibilities of the 4 elected officers: chair, vice chair, secretary, and treasurer. All officers are responsible for attending various meetings throughout the year. And while most meetings are generally virtual, flexibility for in-person attendance is encouraged. Meeting schedules will be determined based on participants' availability. Officers will meet with the Chief of Specialized Services, KSEAL, 35 to 40 times a year. These meetings would typically last about an hour and are often held during the school day, though sometimes they can occur in the afternoon or early evening. Each officer will then attend 10 or more of each of these meetings a year, including officer board meetings, usually an hour long, executive board meetings, typically 90 minutes, and general membership meetings, which usually last 2 to 3 hours. These, again, are monthly meetings. In terms of quarterly meetings, 4 times a year, the Boston SPEDPAC officers meet with Superintendent Mary Skipper for 1 to 3 hours. Twice a year, officers attend Boston School Committee meetings to deliver or support SPEDPAC presentations. These meetings typically last 3 to 4 hours and are held on weekday evenings in October and May. Once a year, officers assist in planning SPEDPAC general meetings, which usually takes about 4 hours and is likely held on a weekend day. And as needed, officers may attend ad hoc meetings with the Boston Public School departments. These are usually 1 to 5 hours per month, and there may also be meetings to support SPEDPAC subcommittee work, SPEDPAC community events, SPEDPAC priorities, and also SPEDPAC administrative functions. Again, attending these meetings are responsibilities of the chair, vice chair, secretary, and treasurer. Board members in other positions, specifically members at large and alternate members at large, are encouraged to attend as many as they can, but are not required to attend them all. All of these meetings are listed in the description of positions, which is available in 10 languages. The link can be found in the Zoom chat. I will now describe the first open position, the chair. In addition to the officer duties I just detailed, the chair is responsible for, firstly, leading board meetings and general membership meetings. Secondly, writing agendas for all meetings. And thirdly, creating subcommittees and appointing members to serve on them related to the Boston SPEDPAC mission. Now, nominations for chair are open for the next 2 minutes. If you would like to nominate yourself or another eligible voting member for the position of chair, please type that name into the chat now. We will let you know when the nominations have closed, both verbally from myself and also through the chat. I will be using a timer on the screen so folks can see when the 2 minutes are up. We have 25 more seconds. Okay, time is now up. Here is the list of nominees in alphabetical order by last name. Please wait while we gather the list. Okay, the list of nominees for chair are Edith Bazil, Kelsey Brendel, Bethany Murphy, and Andrea Palomo. I will now ask each nominee if they would like to accept or decline the nomination. Edith Bazil, would you like to accept or decline? You may both speak.
I decline the nomination for another position, so keep nominating.
Thank you. Kelsey, would you like to accept or decline?
I'll accept the nomination. Thank you.
Thank you. Bethany, would you like to accept or decline? I am hearing no answer. I will give it a moment in the chat and move on to,
Oh my gosh.
Bethany is on mute.
I'm sorry. I was on mute.
Don't worry about it.
I would like to decline this nomination, but I am interested in other positions, so would welcome other nominations. And thank you to the people who nominated me.
Thank you. I see in the chat that Andrea is declining the nomination. Is that correct?
That's correct. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all for nominating. We will now invite Kelsey to give a brief speech for up to 2 minutes about number one, why you are seeking the specific position. Number two, why you would want to serve the students in Boston with disabilities and their families. And number three, what strengths you can bring to this work. To keep things fair, we will mute you 2 minutes after you begin, unless the person needs more time to communicate through a translator due to a disability that impacts their ability to communicate verbally. This will be the same throughout all nominations. A statement written into the chat by the nominee in those 2 minutes will also be accepted and read out by me. For these exceptions, up to 4 minutes per person can be provided. Kelsey, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. And thanks. I'm so delighted to see fellow nominees, including for other positions or this one, all of you together. Well, I will try not to take up too much time, but I will start with saying I've had the enormous privilege of serving in this role humbly as interim chair. So I take that very seriously. And again, I considered it a great honor, even though it sort of fell upon me accidentally. I was delighted at the reception I got in support of doing it in the best way I knew how. And while I'm so excited and always have been about this work, The only thing I can think of that's more exciting than the work itself, and make no mistake, we all know we're in it. It's incredibly challenging work. It's work that makes us cry. It's work that makes us argue. It's work that makes us lose sleep. But the thing that is truly exciting about it is seeing others get excited by that too, and others getting excited by the power they haven't even yet found in themselves to be part of the project that this work really amounts to for our children with, in Boston Public Schools who have disabilities. There is nothing more important, if you asked me, on any day of the week than that. So this is a time, as we all know, that requires a lot of us as parents of students with disabilities. It requires all of us to be all hands on deck. And I have a little boy with severe special needs, and what I have learned is how much we as parents truly know. We are the actual experts. We are part of a club we hoped we'd never belong to. And my goal has always been this year and hopefully going forward to encourage community and build trust with the district and encourage families.
Thank you, Kelsey, for your speech. And thank you to all of our nominees. In just a moment, we will open the chat up for voting. Please note, each eligible voter can vote only once and for only one person for this position. And this goes the same for all positions. If a voting member votes more than once for the same position or votes for more people than is allowed, none of that voting member's votes for that position will be counted. Any votes added to the chat after the 2 minutes is over will also not be counted. I will be, again, timing this through my accounts picture so that everybody can see. Please begin voting now. You have 2 minutes. Please also remember throughout this process, we cannot count votes from anyone who is anonymous. Please update your name in Zoom to reflect your full name or type your full name and your votes in the chat. For example, my name is Ann Ting. I vote for so-and-so. We will let you know once the voting process, again, is complete. All folks will have to do is to, again, text the nominee that you are voting for in the chat function. Folks have around 1 more minute.
And I just want to mention that I have a direct vote sent to me. So I just want to name that.
Thank you.
Alicia Magana Soto.
We have 15 more seconds. Okay, voting is now closed. Thank you, everybody. Please stand by while the FCSN team counts the votes separately to ensure accuracy. Okay. We have finished counting all of the votes. Congratulations to Kelsey, the incoming Boston SPEDPAC chair. I will now move on to the second open position, the vice chair. In addition to the listed elected officer duties that I have read at the beginning and which are available in the description of positions, which is available in 10 languages, please again see the chat for the links. The vice chair is also responsible for, firstly, supporting the chair at board meetings and general membership meetings. Secondly, attending the scheduled meetings and managing the agenda in the event that the chair is absent. Now, nominations for the vice chair are open for the next 2 minutes starting now. If you would like to nominate yourself or another eligible voting member for the position of vice chair, please type that name into the chat. We will let you know when the nominations have closed both verbally and through the chat. You have 1 more minute. You have 20 seconds. Okay, time is now up and voting and nominations are closed. You will now see the list of nominees in alphabetical order by last name. You will also find their names in the chat. Please hold for our team. Okay, so we are going to ask our nominees if they would like to accept or decline the nomination. Edith, Bazil, would you like to accept or decline?
Again, thank you so much. I really appreciate the nomination. Please keep nominating me. We're very close, but I will decline at this time. Thank you.
Got it. Thank you. Bethany, would you like to accept or decline?
I would like to accept this nomination. Thank you.
Thank you, Bethany. We will now invite you to give a brief speech for up to 2 minutes about, again, firstly, why you are seeking this specific position. Secondly, why you would want to serve the students of Boston with disabilities and their families. And lastly, what strengths you bring to this work. To keep things fair, we will mute you 2 minutes after you begin, unless you need more time to communicate through a translator or due to a disability that impacts your ability to communicate verbally. A statement written into the chat by you in those 2 minutes will also be accepted and read aloud by myself. For these exceptions, up to 4 minutes can be provided. Bethany?
Thank you. I was waiting for you to start the timer or
Oh,
no?
okay. This is
Okay.
definitely a tech mishap. Let me see if I can.
I can start and you can shut me off anytime.
Yes,
Okay.
I will do that instead.
I am a parent of a sixth grader who has significant special needs, and she has been in BPS since K0. I spent 5 years as a board member at large on SPEDPAC. I've kind of learned the ins and outs. I've built relationships throughout the district and in the various incarnations of the SPEDPAC. I think it's incredibly important to have representation. I am running and want to serve families as a person of color, as a person of also Latina ancestry, and I think with the majority of special ed referrals being Black and Brown students, I'm very, very passionate about representation. I bring humor and empathy and warmth and also very direct talk and no nonsense as strengths. My weaknesses are I just get so really upset about the state of special education in Boston Public Schools, but I know we can do better, and I know that together we can do so much better.
Thank you, Bethany. That was around a minute.
Okay.
Would you like to keep going for another minute because you
No,
still have
that's
that? Got it.
everything I had to say. Thank you.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much. In just a moment, we will open the chat for voting. Due to the tech mishap, I am currently unsure if I can provide that, but I will verbally be able to give folks indicators as to when folks can still be voting. Please note again that each eligible voter can vote only once and for only one person for this position. If a voting member votes more than once for the same position or votes for more people than is allowed, none of your voting members' votes for that position will be counted. Any votes added to the chat after 2 minutes over will not be counted as well. You may begin. Folks have 1 more minute. You now have 20 more seconds. Okay, that concludes 2 minutes. Thank you all for voting. Please stand by while our FCSN team counts up the votes for the final tally. All right, we have now counted everything up. Congratulations to Bethany, the incoming Boston SpedPAC Vice Chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Now I will move on to the third open position, the secretary. The secretary is responsible for attending all the meetings that I have read at the beginning, and which can be found in the description available in 10 languages. So please see again the Zoom chat for the links to that document. And aside from all of this, the secretary is responsible for, firstly, taking notes at board meetings to create the meeting minutes. Secondly, publishing board meeting minutes within 24 hours of SpedPAC board meetings, store and share the minutes with board members. The minutes are an accurate record of motions, votes, and official business. Lastly, scheduling board meetings in Zoom and emailing Zoom link and agendas to board members at least 2 days prior to board meetings. Nominations for secretary are now open for the next 2 minutes, starting now. I have my timer activated again, and you will see that on the screen. If you would like to nominate yourself or another eligible voting member for the position of secretary, please type that name into the chat. I will let you know verbally again and also through the chat when nominations are closed. You have 1 more minute. Ten more seconds. All right. Time is up for nominations. We will now put down the list of nominees in alphabetical order by last name in the chat. The list of nominees are Edith Bazil and Lisa Jean Graff. Please excuse me if I mispronounced your name. Edith, would you like to accept or decline this nomination?
Again, I am humbled and thankful, and I promise you we are very close. Keep nominating. but I declined to Lisa Jean Graff.
Thank you, Edith. Lisa, do you accept or decline?
I'm really not sure what to do because I wasn't expecting this, and I think it's very kind of everyone. The problem is I have audio processing difficulties, so I think I'd be a really bad secretary. I could see treasurer being a better fit, but it sounds like maybe Edith might be interested in that, which I would be very happy about. So I don't know what to do in this case because, it seems like I'm the one who's being nominated, but I'm not sure that I would be great in the role. So I welcome people's thoughts. Yes, Bethany.
Lisa Jean, I think you would be fantastic. I think you listen to people, you really think about what everyone says, you remember things really well. I hear what you're saying, having this challenge, but we will help you. Do you remember the days of SpedPack when we all jumped in and we all did everything for everybody? So
Yeah.
we're 100% here to help you. I think you'd be a phenomenal secretary.
Thank you. I mean, as long as I can get some technical help with it, even if it's sort of like transcript that I can then look at just to make sure I'm remembering everything right, then, I'll I I'd be willing, and I'm just really touched, frankly. But if I guess if I'm accepting it with accommodations, then I guess I should give a little spiel about, why I'd like to serve. And the background that I bring is as a person with a disability. I have,
Lisa,
yeah.
sorry to cut you off, but I will start timing you now for.
Oh, yes, sorry. Yeah, no, I should be, okay. So I am autistic. I have that perspective, which I think is kind of unique. And I also love policy very much and being an advocate. So those are the things that I could bring to the table. And also, I'd like to work collaboratively. So that'll be good since I need help with this. So thanks, everyone.
Okay. Lisa, you have around a minute and a half left. Would you like to continue, or was that the end of your speech?
That's basically it. I think it summed it up fine.
Got it. Thank you so much. All right. We will now open up voting. Folks, again, we'll have 2 minutes. And I will verbally let folks know once voting is complete. Folks now have 1 more minute to vote. Thirty seconds. All right, that was 2 minutes. Voting is now closed. Please stand by while the FCSN team counts the votes separately. We're all set. That was very fast. Congratulations. Congratulations to Lisa, the incoming Boston Sped Pack secretary.
Thank you, everyone.
I will now move on to the third open position, the treasurer. The treasurer is responsible for, firstly, managing the funds provided by the district, collected or donated for SpedPack. Secondly, managing all receipts and disbursements and regularly examining any information and or account books pertaining to SpedPack transactions. And lastly, presenting a financial report to the council at council meetings. Nominations for the treasurer are now open for the next 2 minutes. Again, I have a timer on the screen, starting now. If you would like to nominate yourself or another eligible voting member for the position of treasurer, please type that name into the chat now. I will let you know both verbally and through the chat once nominations are closed. All right, folks have 1 more minute. Around 20 more seconds. Okay, voting. Nominations are now closed, not voting. Now, our nominee for treasurer is Edith Bazil. Edith, would you like to accept or decline this nomination?
I, with humility and excitement and gratitude, accept this nomination.
Thank you, Edith. We will now invite you to give up to 2 minutes of your speech about, firstly, why you are seeking this specific position, secondly, why you want to serve the students of Boston with disabilities and their families, and lastly, what strengths you bring to this work.
I seek this position because for me, special education is not work. It's not something that I do. It's who I am. I knew that I wanted to go into special ed when I was 11 years old, and my 2 brothers with autism would go to school in color and work on minimal material. But when they came home, I knew how smart, intelligent, bright, and gifted they were, and they just weren't seen. And they had difficulty with language, and I could pull that language out of them, even though I was a child. And so I went to school to become a speech pathologist. And I also studied to be a reading specialist, and I went into special ed. I graduated from BPS. I went back to BPS and served the district in special ed as a speech pathologist, a special ed teacher, and a special ed administrator. I have children who graduated from BPS. I have children with disabilities, which I say always keeps me honest because I had to deal with my daughter who had autism, my son who had dyslexia, and my other child who had emotional impairment. So I say that God gave me children with disabilities to keep me honest. And this is a work of passion for me. I think what I bring to this is the desire to work collaboratively to make Boston Public Schools work for children with disabilities. They have one shot. one opportunity. And if we don't give it to them early, continuously, and correctly, then they don't have a shot at life. Our children can be independent. 95% of all children, regardless of cognitive ability, can learn to read by the end of first grade, but our literacy interventions are horrible. And so I want to make a difference in that. So thank you so much for nominating me.
Great timing. Okay, we will now give everybody 2 minutes to vote. Your timer begins now. Again, I will be verbally letting folks know when the voting process has ended. Folks now have 1 minute. Thirty seconds. Ten seconds. All right, that was 2 minutes. Voting is now closed for the treasurer position. Our team has counted the votes, and congratulations to Edith, the incoming Boston Sped Pack treasurer. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I tried to give everyone a heart, so if I missed you, I'm giving you one now.
We will now move on to voting for the board members at large. There are 8 open seats for Sped Pack board members. I will now describe the duties of the board members at large. These descriptions are again available in 10 languages, and you can find the links in the chat. These expectations are different from the prior elected members' meeting requirements. Meetings are generally virtual, but flexibility for meeting in person is encouraged. Each board member at large is expected to attend the following monthly, quarterly, and annual meetings. In terms of monthly meetings, each one will meet 10 or more times each year. You will firstly have the officer board meetings, usually an hour. And then lastly, the general membership meetings, which is usually 2 to 3 hours each month. Next, you will have quarterly meetings, which meets 4 times each year. Sped Pack meetings with Superintendent Mary Skipper are a part of these quarterly meetings. Lastly, you will assist in planning Sped Pack general meetings, likely 4 hours, likely on a weekend day, once per year. There are some activities that are optional and encouraged. Twice a year, members at large are encouraged to attend Boston School Committee meetings to deliver and support Sped Pack presentations. These are usually on weekday evenings in October and May, 3 to 4 hours per meeting. Also, ad hoc meetings with Boston Public School departments are usually in 1 to 5 hours per month, often during the school day, sometimes afternoons or early evenings. And lastly, there are meetings to support Sped Pack subcommittee work, Sped Pack community events, Sped Pack priorities, and Sped Pack administrative functions. These are usually 1 to 5 hours per month, often during the school day, sometimes in the afternoons or early evenings, and occasionally on weekend days. Nominations for members at large are now open for the next 2 minutes starting now. I would like to remind folks in the chat that nominations will only be accepted throughout this 2 minute time. If you would like to nominate yourself or another eligible member for the position of member at large, please type that name into the chat now. We will let you know when the nominations have closed both verbally and again through the chat. Folks now have around 1 minute left to nominate. Folks have around 30 more seconds. Okay, and nominations are up. Please stand by while our team gets ready for putting in the names of the nominees in alphabetical order. All right. Thank you for your patience. Please stand by. All right, folks should be able to see in the chat all of the nominees in alphabetical order by last name. Tynesa Adele, do you accept or decline the nomination?
Good evening, everyone. I accept the nomination. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hope Bastian, please excuse me. Do you accept or decline the nomination?
Hi, yeah, I do.
Great, thank you so much. Melissa Chandler, do you accept or decline the nomination?
Yes, thank you. I accept.
Thank you. Kim D, do you accept or decline the nomination?
I am Kim Emery. I don't know if I'm listed there twice.
You are listed there twice. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I am a mom of a graduating senior, so appreciate the nomination, but I will have to decline. Good luck, everyone.
Thank you. Elsa, we did not get a last name. Is there an Elsa here today?
Elsa Flores? I might be saying the name wrong.
Yes, Elsa Flores. Would you like to accept or decline the nomination? Hello, Elsa. I see you in the chat.
She asked, what is it for, Anne, in the chat?
Thank you. This nomination is for the members, the board members at large. Elsa, would you like to accept or decline the nomination? Okay. I will keep looking out in the chat for any confirmations. If there are no confirmations by the time of the speeches, I will assume that there is. Oh, I see it declined. Thank you so much. I will do a brief interlude for Kelsey to inform folks of a couple of concerns about going overtime.
Thanks so much, Anne. I will be brief. We have made enormous progress time-wise. I'm really delighted to see that. But I wanted to just make note of, out of respect again for members' times, as I said in the beginning, in order to achieve this process with fairness and equity, we also needed to address the timeliness. You know, it's our goal to end right at 8:30. I'm just asking for the grace and flexibility. For those of you who can remain on the call, hopefully for an extra 5 or 10 minutes would be much appreciated. And I'm hoping that you'll all understand that's in the spirit of equity and fairness and completing the process as we all committed to. So I appreciate that, and I'll turn things back to Anne so that we can keep on going.
Thank you, Kelsey. We will now move on to Kim Emery. Kim, do you accept or decline the nomination?
Hi, that was me. I was listed twice, but I decline.
Oh, I am sorry.
No,
Thank
no
you.
worries.
All right, Charlie Kim, do you accept or decline the nomination? I will give Charlie Kim a couple moments in the chat to answer and then round back over. Letitia.
I believe that's
don't
supposed to
see-
mean me.
Okay, hi. Would you like to accept or decline the nomination?
Hi, I would like to decline. So it's supposed to be Latia Grooms, but I would like to decline.
Okay,
And I would like
I
to
see.
note to everybody that I am still going to bring the glasses at every party. As long as I'm in Massachusetts, I will be bringing the fun party glasses.
Thank you.
Thank
Bessie
you.
Maher, would you like to accept or decline?
Hi, good evening. I'm going to decline the nomination.
Thank you so much. Carlene O'Mara, would you like to accept or decline?
I'm going to decline. Thank you.
Thank you. Lexi Patera, would you like to accept or decline?
Hi, thank you. I would like to accept the nomination.
Thank you. Sheena Penny, would you like to accept or decline? Is there a Sheena Penny still in the Zoom? I will keep an eye out in the chat if there is a written exception or a decline. Okay, Danielle Ryan, would you like to accept or decline? I'm seeing that this is the same person for the two Danielles in the chat, Danielle Ryan Tierney.
Hi, I'm sorry. I'm going to decline at this time. Thank you. Sit right here. Sit right here.
Thank you. And lastly, Bessie Victor. Is this the same? This is not the same Bessie.
Yeah, the last name is supposed to be Salomon. It's Victoire Salomon, but
I see.
they put the name. Yeah. I will accept.
Thank you so much. Okay, that was everybody that was nominated for the board members at large. Please hold while we confirm the number of accepted nominations. All right. We would now like to invite folks that are accepted for their nominations to give a 2-minute speech if you would like to. You are Tynisa Adele, Hope Bastien, Melissa Chandler, Lexi Patera, and Bessie Victoire Solomon. Tynisa, would you like to give a 2-minute speech?
Sure, it's Tanisa. Thank you so much.
Tanisa, thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. Again, good evening to you guys. Thank you so much. I'd like to return to doing these duties with you guys and for you guys, as I am passionate in doing this work because I have two sons that have IEPs in the Boston Public Schools. I've seen good, I've seen bad. There definitely is a lot of improvement that has to be done, and I feel like collectively, to piggyback off of Bethany, we can do this together and be stronger at it and accomplish things that are necessary to be done to make these children that are dependent on specific things to improve their independence. I feel like we can do that together as a whole. And I want to continue that work because I'm passionate about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Hope, would you like to give a speech?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Yo soy Hope. Voy a hablar en español si está todavía la traductora del español. Entonces, yo me llamo Hope, soy madre de un niño de 5 años que se llama Paulo y va a empezar a estudiar el año que viene el K2 en la escuela Hurley. Y bueno, el niño tiene una IEP. Nosotras como familia siempre sabíamos que íbamos a tener que luchar mucho para hacer un mundo donde nuestra familia sería respetado para el bien de nuestro hijo, porque somos una pareja interracial, somos una pareja binacional, em, somos una familia de gente LGBT y somos ahora también una familia de migrantes. Y pensamos que sabíamos que iban a ser las luchas de nuestra familia y sorpresa, tenemos un hijo autista, entonces tenemos muchas luchas que no nos imaginábamos. Y entonces hemos tenido que aprender muchísimo y quiero usar lo que hemos aprendido para apoyar a otras familias. So my name is Hope, and we have a child, Paulo, who's 5. He's in kindergarten at Hurley. And we've learned so much through the process of the IEP that we just want to be able to use what we've learned to help other families who are going through this process. And yeah, I'm getting more and more excited as I'm listening to all of you and getting to know you all about what we can do together. We know there's a lot of problems. We're new to this. We're only in kindergarten, but we'll be here. And so the sooner we get involved, I'm just really excited to be a part of what you guys are doing. So yeah, that's it.
All right. Thank you so much, Hope. Melissa, would you like to give a 2-minute speech?
Yeah, thanks, Anne. Happy to. So my name is Melissa Chandler. I'm excited to be here. Similar to Hope, I'm really early on this journey with BPS. I'm a parent of 3-year-old twins entering K0 this fall, one with autism and an IEP. And I'll be totally honest, I was very much on the fence about putting my name out there for this because I'm just at the beginning of this journey. What do I know? But then I'll call this up. I had the most incredible conversation with Kelsey the other day, and it kind of hit me that the power of this group and this work, this community is creating that connection, building that support network, and advocating for our kids is hard, emotional work, and just figuring out where to go, how to get them what they need. And frankly, sometimes it can be incredibly lonely, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. And this group, I've already benefited so much from the resources, the connections, and I want to be part of it. I want to advocate for this community, for our kids, be a voice for our families. In terms of what I can bring to the table, I'm a curious, collaborative person. As part of my day job, I help build consensus and lead teams, and I'm often a voice in the room for people who aren't getting their voices heard. So I feel like that will help translate here. And I'm super passionate about public education. I actually spent 2 years as a high school teacher, not in this school system, but in another one. So it's just kind of part of my DNA to be figure out what to do that's best for the kids. So that's it. Thanks so much for your time, and it'll be really a privilege to be part of this group. Thanks.
Thank you, Melissa. Lexi, would you like to give a 2-minute speech?
Sure, thank you. Hi, thank you all for being here tonight. So I guess about me is I have a couple of kids in elementary school, 4th and 1st grade, and they have an IEP, both of them. And I also have a disability, and I want to be here because I understand not only what it means to be a disabled person in the community, but also what it means to advocate for kids who don't have a voice of their own. And I'm really passionate about education and excellence and equity. And my kids go to a great school, but it's amazing how much pushback we've received. I've served as the SPEDPAC rep for our school for 2 years. And while I feel we've made some progress, it's just not enough for me, and I'd like to be involved at a higher level. And I feel like there's great momentum, but we're at the beginning of something, and we're still pushing a boulder up a hill, and I want to, I guess, throw my weight behind it. I'm a great listener. I am a pretty good writer. I am stubborn, but also willing to hear you out and empathetic. And I can be measured in my responses, even if I am an emotional mess on the inside because of our lovely kids. So I guess that's what I bring to the table. And it would be an honor to be a part of this team. So thank you.
Thank you, Lexi. Victor, would you like to give a 2-minute speech?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Victoria. My daughter she has autism and ADHD. She is in 7th grade. She'll be going to 8th grade next year at the Hennigan School. And the reason I wanted to join is because she's been going through a lot of issues this year, to the point where she hasn't really been in school for a little bit of amount of time. She was actually hospitalized for like seeing hallucinations, hearing voices and stuff. And they're trying to figure that out now. We're trying to place her in a therapeutic setting for school right now. So it's been kind of rough. We have an IEP coming up next Friday. So I just want to be able to like help other kids to know, like, that don't have a voice, to just be like, we could talk for them, advocate for them, because as mothers, we are their advocates. And I think it's important that, we get the information out there to them.
Okay, thank you so much. That should have been everybody that was a nominee. We will now, in a minute, resume the voting process. I'd like to let everybody know that we would like to give folks a couple of just, pieces of context for how we're going to be filling these slots. If there are not enough nominees for a position, the election will continue to fill the seats that can be filled. Any positions that are unfilled after tonight's elections will stay. And any open positions that are vacant after tonight's elections will be remaining until the new executive board meets and assigns another member of the board to fill that position as an interim replacement. We will now begin the voting process for, again, 2 minutes. The voting begins now. Please note also that each eligible voter can vote only once, but can vote for 5 folks for this position. And if a voting member votes more than once for the same position or votes for more people than is allowed, none of that voting member's votes for that position will be counted. You can, however, vote for fewer people, just not more than 5. Folks have around 1 more minute. Folks have around 30 more seconds. Fifteen more seconds. All right. That was 2 minutes. Voting is now closed for the member-at-large positions. The final votes are in, and congratulations to Tanisa Adele, Hope Bastian, Melissa Chandler, Lexi Patera, and Victoire Solomon for becoming the incoming Boston Sped Pack members at large. Finally, we have 2 open positions for Boston Sped Pack alternate board members at large. Alternate board members at large are encouraged to participate in the same duties of the Sped Pack board members at large. To see that full list, which I have just read for the members at large position, you can find the links again to the position descriptions in the chat, which are available again in 10 languages. Nominations for alternate members at large are now open for the next 2 minutes, beginning now. Folks have 1 more minute. Folks have 30 seconds. 20 seconds. All right, time is now up for nominations. Our nominees are Kiona Aviles and Bessie Maher. Please let me know if I mispronounced your name. Kiona, would you like to accept or decline the nomination?
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I accept the nomination.
Thank you, Kiona. Bessie, would you like to accept or decline the nomination?
I will accept the nomination.
Thank you, Bessie. Kiona, I will now offer 2 minutes for a speech. Would you like to give a speech?
Sure. I'll just say, again, hi, I'm Kiona Aviles, and I have 2 children over at the Henderson Inclusion School, which they've both been at since K0 and now are in 2nd grade and K1. I'm very passionate about disability justice and am very committed and excited to seeing the things that this group, especially having seen what this group has been able to accomplish, and would like to help in whatever way I can that to happen. And I haven't been as active in this particular grouping, and so thought that the alternate position was a great way to get in with community and begin doing that here. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Kiona. Bessie, would you also like to give a speech?
Sure. My name is Bessie Marr. I've been on the board before I graduated from Boston Arts Academy. I was on an IEP as well when I was there, and then later on put on to a 504 plan, so I'm familiar with it. And I now have a son who attends the Phineas Bates. He's on the spectrum, so now it's my turn to advocate for him. I really enjoy being surrounded by everyone who, is kind of going through the same thing. It's nice to be around the support and the team. Yay, BAA. And also just being able to support. I work at the Phineas Bates. So I work with students who are on IEPs, and I want to be able to support them more. And I just want to be able to get involved and to support in any way I can. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I will now open the floor for voting. Folks have 2 minutes, and we will let you know both verbally and in the chat when the voting period is up. Folks have 1 more minute. Folks now have around 30 more seconds. Okay, voting is now closed for the 2 alternate member at-large positions. The 2 minutes are up. We have the final votes, and congratulations to both Kelsey Aviles and Bessie Marr for becoming the incoming Boston SpedPAC alternate members at large. Thank you all for participating in this year's Boston SpedPAC elections. The whole slate of winners will now be announced. Please stand by. Beginning July 1st, 2024, the Boston SpedPAC Executive Board will be Kelsey Brendel as the chair, Bethany Maffei as the vice chair, Lisa Jean Graff as the secretary, Edith Bazell as the treasurer, Tanisa Adele, Hope Bastian, Melissa Chandler, Lexi Patera, and Victoria Solomon as the members at large, and lastly, Kiona Aviles and Bessie Marr as the alternate members at large. Congratulations again to our new Boston SpedPAC Officer Board. I will now turn this back to Kelsey.
Thank you so much, Anne, and thank you to the Federation for, again, partnering with us on this and doing such an exceptional job at keeping things organized and, again, well within the tenets of both our bylaws, but also honoring the integrity of the things that matter the most. As I said, the equity piece and operating these with transparency and in a timely fashion. So really appreciate that. And congratulations to everyone that is newly involved, those of you who have been excitedly involved for some time. So excited about that. The one piece of housekeeping that we just have to tidy up before we end the meeting is if all of you as newly elected board members and officer members could please directly in the chat, directly message me with your name, even if you think I already know it, phone number and email address. You're welcome to put it in the general chat as well, but just for privacy, to message me directly so that I can compile sort of a next step email, which you can expect from me as an introductory message by tomorrow, and then a more substantive one with a greater amount of detail on Tuesday, the 28th, just given the long holiday weekend. So if you'd kindly do that now before you hang up on the call, name, contact information, phone number, email address as a direct chat to me, that would be so helpful so I can get out that initial set of information to you. And mostly I would just say, again, thank you to everyone, to our entire membership. None of this work would matter if it weren't for the people who were pushing hard for it, and for every single child that when we look at them, we know their voice and that of their parents and guardians need to be heard more, amplified greater, and respected at every turn. So I'm thrilled that we finished in a reasonable amount of time. Please, again, put your name, contact information there so that I can reach out to you. And thanks again to the Federation and all of our interpreters. Couldn't do it without you. With that, I would say you can also expect to hear again from us by way of the newsletter about that additional question and answer session that was promised by our speaker tonight on ADHD. So when we set that up, again, please feel free to email your questions, call with them, or if they're in the chat already, we'll capture them there, and we'll be sure that we schedule that session with the speaker so she can also do a live version of Q&A as well. But so appreciate all of you. So good to see all of you, and have a really wonderful night. Again, we'll hang on for a couple minutes so that those of you who are messaging me, I can be sure to capture that in the chat before you hang up. Thank you so much, everyone.
Kelsey, it's not letting me message you privately, so can I just email it to you?
Well, you certainly
It won't let me put it on the chat unless I do send it to everyone.
Yeah, it won't let me do it either.
I just made her co-host. Why don't you try now?
Try now, Edith.
It says,
oh, I see you.
Wait a
now.
minute. I see you. I see you. I see you
Okay.
now.
And is Stephanie still, is everyone still on? I'm trying to see. Is he Lisa Jean?
No, there's some that put it in the chat. So Kelsey, we'll download this and share this with you. You also have access to it through the Zoom account.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, but Edith, did it let you do it that time?
All set. Yes, it's done.
Is everyone good to go?
I'm just capturing. Hang on one second.
Okay.
I just want to be sure. There.
Kelsey, I also have the list and a double check. So if anything, I can also help you.
Okay, great. No, if you've got, I just want to make sure I'm not missing anyone. So, okay. Well, again, congratulations to you all. You'll hear from me shortly. I hope everyone, thank you so much for hanging in. I know it took a little bit longer, but I think it was well worth it.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.